think you're handicapping yourself and you're depriving yourself of not just Devin Booker's playmaking ability, but also Kevin Durant. So I am interested to see that, but comments from the owner in July about who's going to be the point guard, that's going to be the coach's thing.
A lot of people are obviously talking about the comments that he made around Bradley Beal playing point guard for this team. Here's what he said, and then we'll talk about it.
Last year also, we weren't sure, was it Beal or Booker going to be the point guard when all those guys were out there? I think it's a little more clear that Brad can do it. He did a great job for the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Obviously, didn't have the playoff run that he'd hoped, but he had a great 4 or 5 weeks leading up to it, if you guys remember, at point guard, doing a lot of things. So I think that, along with Monty Morris, along with Booker doing his thing off the ball, Durant off the ball, and obviously a new leader and a coach, Mike Budenholzer, who is not only a great coach, but he's a great leader of men. You're going to see a big difference with some of the things he does.
So how are you guys feeling when you first heard that? What was your initial thought?
Look, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but everyone that said that Bradley Beal wouldn't be the point guard, you're wrong. I said it in Summer League a few days ago that screw the narrative. Doesn't matter if he scores 20-plus points a game. Doesn't matter if people yell and scream that he's not worth the money he's making. If he holds down the point guard position and plays it well, that's all the Suns need, because they have Devin Booker, who you heard, Ishbia say, play him off the ball, and Kevin Durant, who they said going to play off the ball. That means Bradley Beal's the point guard, and that's why this is true as well.
That's why that Greg Esposito's a smart guy.
Like Campbell says, I'm a smart guy. And
I don't think I like Espo having access to all the sounders. I'm not sure. Part of me is like, yes, and the other part is like,
Go with the latter part. But no, I don't know if I'm fully on board with that. I feel like, yes, I reading between the lines, I think they want to simplify things this season. I think last year they struggled to balance one guy being the point guard, one guy being the point guard, like splitting those things. But ideally, your best offense is still when all three of those guys can initiate. And I think they're going to be more selective in how they do that this year, especially because, there was the idea that they weren't using Kevin Durant or optimizing him as best as they could. There was the idea that Booker would get too passive as a scorer when he felt like he was taking on a lot of the point guard duties. There was the fact that Beal did play well down the stretch, kind of being that glue guy, filling multiple roles, being the point guard, being their, defensive guy, whatever. I feel like they're probably going to simplify things going into the season, but I don't think it's going to be an exclusive Bradley Beal is our nominal point guard type thing, because I think you're handicapping yourself and you're depriving yourself of not just Devin Booker's playmaking ability, but also Kevin Durant. So I am interested to see that, but comments from the owner in July about who's going to be the point guard, that's going to be the coach's thing.
Well, I think it's important to have one guy that's deemed that, right? Because last year it was, it'll be Brad, it'll be Devin, it'll be Kevin. Like, I don't think that he has to exclusively be the only guy when the three guys are on the court, but he should, in maybe 70% of the time, bring the ball up at least. It doesn't mean he has to initiate everything, but we've seen what Devin Booker can do as that guy off the ball that doesn't have to carry the load of dribbling it. We've seen KD last year with some of those turnover issues where maybe you mitigate it, where he's still kind of the fulcrum of certain parts of your offense, but he doesn't have to do as much ball handling at times. I think that's what they're trying to accomplish here, not icing out the other guys in terms of being initiators at any point. And I think it's a smart, have some more defined rules this year in Bud's system and get creative in the way that you use those guys. But, I think that's the closest we're going to get to everybody wanting a real point guard, is to name a guy that's your primary point guard and start there.